It wasn't easy, but I got Fox to buy into my plan. It wasn't Fox I was worried about, though. Now, this is what I'm talking about, said Tracy, cutting into a 24-ounce bone-in ribeye that was literally bigger than its plate. Native Iowans don't do fillets. This was such a great idea, Dylan. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We were at the Palm on West 50th Street, one of our favorite steakhouses in the city. I'd made the reservation and called Tracy to meet me for an early dinner, but not before making sure Lucinda was available. She's Annabelle's babysitter, although we hardly ever use her. That's what I was leveraging with Tracy. We needed a night out together. Just the two of us. I'm glad you were good with this, I said. I wasn't sure you would be. Tracy smiled knowingly at the subtext. A baby changes everything. He and I had caught the home buddy bug after Annabelle's arrival. Going out on a Sunday night, or any night, was tantamount to abandoning her. We both felt it, although Tracy felt it more. He knew it, too. Our friends with kids are always telling us, right, how important it is to still make time for each other. But for some reason, not just some reason, I said, the best reason in the world. I know, Annabelle is the greatest thing that ever happened in our lives, but we can't forget about us, you and me. I agree. I know you do, said Tracy. That was my way of saying I'm the one who needs to do a better job of it. Hey, you're here, aren't you? Only because you got me here. What's the difference? That's true, he said. You've got to start somewhere, right? Good point. So why the hell am I still stalling? Speaking of you and me, I said, there's something I need to talk to you about. I couldn't stand it any longer. I'd requested a quiet table and was planning to tell Tracy before we ordered. Then I was going to tell him before our steaks came. At this rate, it was never going to happen. I had to tell him now. Uh-oh, that sounds a bit ominous, said Tracy, tongue in cheek. At least I'm already sitting down for this. How do you tell someone who thinks he knows everything about you the one thing that changes everything he thought? The answer is, I don't know. Or better or worse, after nearly a decade of keeping it a secret, I simply blurted it out. I used to work for the CIA, I said. Tracy didn't even look up from his ribeye. Ha ha, very funny, he said. Can you pass the creamed spinach? I didn't pass the creamed spinach. I didn't do anything, except wait for Tracy to realize that I wasn't kidding around. Finally, he looked up at me. Wait, what? There was no turning back now. It's true, I said. Tracy still didn't believe me, but with a shock. Did you really just say that? You actually used to work for? He couldn't even finish the sentence. The CIA, yes. Like, as an analyst? Behind the desk? I was an operative, I said. I was in the field. Tracy couldn't stop blinking. How? Where? When? He thought he had me with the timing. He'd known me since college. We hadn't always been together, though. It was after I was at MIT, before we started seeing each other again, I said. His eyes narrowed. He was running it through his mind. That's when you were at Cambridge. Your fellowship. The fellowship was actually my cover. Your cover? You mean lie to me? Technically, I lied to everybody. I'm not everybody, Dylan. He was right. This isn't going so well, is it? I'm truly sorry, I said. The last thing I wanted to do was keep this from you, but it was really for your. Don't say it. He laid down his fork and knife and folded his arms angrily. Don't give me the bullshit line about it being for my protection. It's not a bullshit line. It's what it is, I said. Leaving the CIA didn't erase my past with the agency. There were risks. There still are risks. This was the only part of my confession that I had specifically worked out in my head beforehand. It was my pivot, the seed, the point at which I would put it all out on the table and tell him that I was about to get involved again, after all these years, with another CIA operation, one of my own making, no less. But Tracy had a pivot of his own. You say you wanted to protect me. Well, what I want to know is what you were required to do, he said. What do you mean? You know exactly what I mean. Again, he was right. Tracy, the Yale Law School grad, had shot a giant hole in my defense. I was simply procrastinating with my answer. I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to lie to him again. Not ever. I couldn't. Just hear me out, okay? Let me explain. The scenario I feared most when I left the agency had happened. My past had caught up with me. In fact, he'd literally shown up at my front door. Our front door, I told Tracy. The man who called himself Benjamin Alcazaz was a threat to our family, and God knew how many others. One way or another, he was linked to the death of Professor Darvish. He had to be. I was convinced. His being in the audience at Sajira Yavari's lecture was no coincidence. I explained it all to Tracy, including how everything started. My old friend and fellow operative, Ahmed, who had saved my life in London, had died while trying to prevent the Times Square bombings. You and Annabelle were supposed to be there in that Disney store, I said. That had to help him understand. Eventually, though, there was nothing more for me to tell him. I'd done all the talking. It was Tracy's turn. Say something, I implored him. Please. He sat there, stone-faced the entire time while listening. The usual glint in his eyes was gone. This man didn't look at all like Tracy. It was as if he were a total stranger. I could only imagine how I looked to him. What are you doing? I asked. Tracy had pushed back from the table and stood up. I'm leaving, he said. I understand. It's a lot to process, I said. I motioned to the waiter for the check. We can talk more about it at home. No, he said. I'm leaving. It hit me. He didn't just mean the restaurant. Tracy, please don't. But he was done listening to me. He was done with me. Period. Don't come back to the apartment for at least an hour. I need to pack. Where are you going? I don't know yet, he said, but I'm taking Annabelle with me. My God, what have I done? Tracy wanted an hour to pack. He could have taken all night, or at least until they kicked me out of the palm. Even if I wanted to move from my chair, I couldn't. It wasn't numbness or paralysis. That's when you can't feel anything. I was feeling everything, and it hurt like hell. Would you like another, sir? Asked the waiter. I was staring down at the only thing remaining on my table. Every dish and plate having long since been cleared. It was a Macallan 18, my third, or was it my fourth? Sure, I said. Why the hell not? My sentiments exactly, came Elizabeth's voice over my shoulder. Make it two, and make 'em doubles. I looked up to see her loop around the waiter and sit down across from me. There was no need to ask how she knew where I was. Tracy had surely told her when she arrived at our apartment. Is he really packing? I asked. I'm afraid so. He was actually just about to leave when I got there, she said. We both knew my next question, but I couldn't even get the words out. She answered me anyway. Yes, he had Annabelle with them. I reached for the Macallan and downed whatever was left in the glass. Every last drop. Did I make a mistake? I asked. Should I have not told him? Not telling him in the first place was a mistake, Dylan. That's why he's so upset. Tonight, though, you did the right thing. Really? Because it sure doesn't seem that way. I know, she said. But I also knew Tracy. He'll eventually understand. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. The alternative was too hard to imagine. Still, even if she was right, what am I supposed to do in the meantime? I asked. I would have bet $1 gazillion on Elizabeth's answer as the waiter returned with our double account. She was going to tell me 2 words. Be patient. Thankfully, I didn't have $1 gazillion on me. The first thing you're going to do is enjoy your drink, said Elizabeth, because I fully intend to enjoy mine. Is there a second thing? I asked. It definitely felt like it. As a matter of fact, there is, she said. But first, cheers. The overall lighting of the pond could best be described as an indoor solar eclipse, and as Elizabeth leaned forward out of the shadows to clink my glass, I got a much better look at her face. What are those from? I asked, pointing. There were 2 butterfly bandages along her hairline, as opposed to the other bandages on her aerobics in Times Square. These were new. Oh, this? She said, pointing up at her forehead. I think it was from one of the shingles. Shingles? Yeah, from when the house blew up. What house? The one where a bearded guy with an AK-47 tried to kill me this afternoon. What the hell are you talking about? Elizabeth stopped, deadpanning, and started to explain, beginning with the man who approached her in Starbucks, which ultimately led her out to Pelham to meet a young Muslim named Gorgon, who was going to help her until the bearded man with the AK-47 showed up. Now Gorgon was dead, and the house was leveled, blown to smithereens by a 1-2 punch of C4 and piped-in gas, which she managed to escape with only seconds to spare. And I thought I was having a bad day, I said. Oh, and I almost forgot. That mystery man at Starbucks? He's a friend of the mayor. How do you know? I made a stop at City Hall before heading out to Pelham, she said. Deacon admitted the guy was an informant for him. Did he give you a name? Of course not, she said. Which brings me to the second thing you're going to do after we enjoy our drinks. You're coming with me tonight to find Deacon. To do what? Hold him steady while I punch him in the face? Oh, is that all? His informant nearly got me blown up today, she said. You should have seen the flames. Hell hath no fury like a woman's scorch. Still, Deacon's never going to tell you who the guy is, I said. Elizabeth let out a dubious sigh. Right. Whoever said misery loves company never saw anything like the look on her face. As bad as I was feeling, I felt even worse for her. Come on, I said, signaling for the check. Let's get out of here. And go where? You'll see, I said. Elizabeth kept asking me where I was taking her, and I kept answering that she'd find out soon enough. It was hardly helping her mood. I knew what I was doing. Had I actually told her where we were going, she would have turned right away. For the last time. Who lives here? She asked. We were standing outside a townhouse on East 84th Street, off 3rd Avenue. It was a decent building, but nothing out of the ordinary. At least from the outside. Just do me a favor, will you? Stand right over here, I said, pulling her arm. I positioned her in front of the door and directly in line with the overhead security camera. Wait, she said. Why are you hiding? I peeled off to the side, directly out of line with the security camera. Again, I knew what I was doing. Just look up so he can see you, I said, pointing. Who? I didn't have to answer. By then, the snapping or sound of multiple locks had Elizabeth spinning back around. He'd opened the door. Jesus Christ, Nita, what the hell are you doing here? Asked Evan Ricard. If this is about your fiasco up in Pelham this afternoon, I don't want to hear it. Not tonight. How'd you even know where I live? Trick or treat, I said, stepping forward. Oh shit, said Ricard. You've got to be kidding me. Reinhardt. Elizabeth's head went back and forth between me and her new boss. You guys know each other? We've crossed paths once or twice, I said. It was an obvious understatement. Elizabeth rolled her eyes at me. Is there anyone you don't have history with? She asked. I shrugged. What can I say? I tend to make an impression on people. Actually, I should have known so, Elizabeth. You both knew about Halo. Ricard glared so hard at me, I thought his eyes might pop out. What the fuck did you tell her, Reinhardt? It's more like what you told her, I said. Apparently, you flinched or something when she showed you that hotel surveillance footage. You really ought to warn her, man. Never mind that Elizabeth caught me doing the same thing when I saw the footage. I conveniently left that part out, but Elizabeth already knew about my past. Now she was learning about cars. He shook his head. If I'd known it was you, Reinhardt, I would have. I know. You would have never opened the door, I said. Now that you have, are you going to invite us in? What? That depends. What do you want, he asked. Peace on Earth and a brand new Ferrari? What do you think I want? I need your help. You're still as charming as ever, Reinhardt, he said. Yeah, and you still owe me, I shot back. Ricard mumbled something about my being the male offspring of a female dog. He then turned and walked back into his townhouse, leaving the door open for us. It wasn't the warmest invite, but the result was the same. We were heading inside, though not before I quickly whispered in Elizabeth's ear. Brace yourself, I said. For what? She whispered back. I didn't have to answer. With only 1 foot inside Ricard's door, she saw what I was talking about.